You can tell when a room ain't meant for you. The air gets heavy, voices soften around your presence, and even the lights seem colder. 18-year-old Malik Turner sits in a courtroom that was never designed to see him whole, only in slices. Case number, charges, height, prior school suspensions. The clerk's tone is sing-song bright when she reads State of Westbrook vs. Malik Turner, as if it were a tune she hums on autopilot. The sheriff at the back stretches and yawns. A white marble bust of some long-dead benefactor watches everything like a ghost, satisfied with the way things turned out. Malik straightens his tie with trembling fingers that still smell faintly of motor oil. He borrowed the tie from his pastor and the shoes from his cousin. He's never been in real trouble before. Never even been inside this courthouse except for a field trip in 8th grade, the same day the guide pointed at the portrait on the wall and said, "That's Judge Whitaker, a legend around here." The tour laughed when a class clown whispered, "He looks like he was born scowling." Standing there, 13 and small, Malik thought, whatever you do, stay out of his path. But here he is, directly in the path. Judge Daniel Whitaker presides, silver hair combed like polished steel, a mouth that pulls sideways when he thinks something is stupid, which seems to be most things. He has ruled over this town for 30 years, and he treats it like a private chessboard. The prosecutor rises. "Your Honor, the state intends to show that the defendant, Mr. Turner, stole 4 catalytic converters from vehicles parked overnight at Miller Automotive. We've got security footage, we've got a witness, and we've got the parts found in his backpack when he was stopped." Malik's public defender glances at him with a look that says, "I'll do what I can, kid. She met him only this morning. Her legal pad is filled with other names, other times, other little storms blowing through an already busy day." Judge Whitaker peeks over his glasses at Malik. "You weren't keeping busy with schoolwork, Mr. Turner?" My shift runs late," Malik stammers. "I work nights at—" Whitaker waves a hand. "Of course you do." A chuckle rolls through the court. Someone coughs to hide it. The judge's eyes are cool pools. His smile is a blade. "Well," he says, "let's get on with our little drama." Voices slide like knife blades for the next hour. The prosecutor plays grainy footage, a figure in a hoodie, hunched and quick, ducking between parked cars. The timestamp blinks like a heartbeat. He introduces a witness, Mr. Miller himself, red-faced from years of speaking only to employees who cannot talk back. Miller calls Malik "that boy" and points a thick finger without looking directly at him. He doesn't have to. The narrative already has a center of gravity, and it isn't the truth. It's convenience. It's how a community stays narratively comfortable. Malik's defender cross-examines. "Mr. Miller, did you see the person's face?" "It was dark." "So the answer is no?" "I didn't say no," Miller protests. "I said it was dark." She asks about the backpack. The arresting officer testifies he stopped Malik because he matched the description. Young, black, wearing a dark hoodie, carrying a backpack. The officer says he searched the bag after Malik consented. Malik remembers the cold of the alley wall against his cheek, and the way the officer's voice turned soft like poison. "You don't want to make this difficult, do you?" He remembers thinking of his mother's face if he didn't come home. If you choke on fear, is it consent? The law says yes, often. The judge checks the time, the judge checks the ceiling, the judge is bored with the claim of another black boy who says the system got him wrong. "Your Honor," Malik's defender says, "my client insists he didn't take anything. He was leaving the night shift at Riverside Laundry at 2 a.m. He cut through the alley to get home. He picked up the backpack near the dumpster because he thought someone dumped clothes again. There's a lot of that in our neighborhood. He wanted to see if there was anything he could wash and donate. He didn't even know what was in it." Whitaker snorts. He actually snorts. "Charity work at 2 in the morning? Is that what we're calling it?" The courtroom ripples with laughter that doesn't sound human. It sounds like a machine primed to run a script. And that is when the door at the back creaks. A tall man steps in, dark suit, scar on his chin, eyes tired but lit with something hot. He takes a seat in the last pew, unnoticed by everyone but Malik. The teen's breath catches. For one suspended heartbeat, there's only the echo of his mother's voice in his head. Keep your head down. Keep your hands clean. Keep your name good. And never forget who you're walking with, even when nobody else knows. The tall man nods, almost imperceptibly. Malik nods back. Mr. Turner, the judge says, leaning forward like a king humoring a jester. Do you have anything you'd like to say before I consider whether to bind you over for trial? Malik's mouth is dry as chalk. His defender squeezes his sleeve. She doesn't want him to speak, but he rises. I am not a thief, he says, voice shaking. I clocked out at 1:47 a.m. There's a camera at Riverside Laundry. I walk home that way because it's faster and because I got school in the morning. I picked up the bag because I thought... His voice thins. I ain't here to lie. Whitaker's sideways smile deepens. You're not here to lie. Splendid. He shuffles papers in a slow show, letting the room soak in his control. But you do seem to be here to waste time. That is, unfortunately, a family trait in some quarters. The tall man in back shifts, and though nobody sees it, Malik feels it. A tremor, like a storm rolling in. Whitaker checks a form. Ah, yes. No father listed on the intake. Predictable. I assume you've never had the benefit of a consistent male example, Mr. Turner. He says the words easily like he's said them 1,000 times. Maybe he has. Malik swallows. He could let it pass. He could let the insult sink like a stone and never throw it back. But there's a part of him that is tired of being a hole people pour blame into. He glances at the man in the last pew who gives the tiniest shake of the head. Not yet, that gesture says. Time is a lock. You turn it too soon, you break the key. Whitaker continues. Given the evidence and the defendant's less than compelling story of midnight philanthropy, I'm inclined to... The back door opens again. This time a woman enters in a gray suit, trailing papers and authority. She whispers to the bailiff, who whispers to the clerk, who whispers to the judge. Whitaker raises an eyebrow, annoyed at the interruption. Your Honor, the clerk murmurs. Detective Sloan from the county attorney's office says this is time-sensitive. Whitaker's mouth hardens. Proceed, Detective. Quickly. Detective Sloan steps up, eyes flicking briefly to the tall man in back, as if checking something like a signal. We just got fresh footage. She holds up a tablet. The city camera on 7th and Pine. It shows a white pickup circling the block near Miller Automotive at 1:35 a.m., then again at 1:50 a.m. A passenger in a Letterman jacket gets out, pops a trunk, and stores what appear to be, well, catalytic converters. The timestamp puts that before Mr. Turner appears on any footage in the alley. The prosecutor bristles. Is that authenticated? Pulled directly from the city feed, Sloan says, cool. The judge's fingers drum. And the passenger? Identified? Detective Sloan hesitates. Her eyes slide once more to the tall man. We're confident. The jacket has the Westbrook High W and the football captain's patch. We believe the passenger is Luke Whitaker, your son. The courtroom inhales and then forgets how to exhale. For an instant, nobody moves. Not the sheriff, not the prosecutor, not the portrait on the wall that suddenly seems to tilt. The temperature drops. The judge's face drains like someone opened a valve in his neck. That's absurd, he snaps. Luke was studying with friends. Which friends? Sloan asks. Whitaker looks at the prosecutor. The prosecutor looks at the floor. Everyone knows what not to say. The rules bend for some people and break others in half. Sloan continues, steady and deadly. We also have an eyewitness, a gas station clerk, who reports seeing the pickup there at 1:42 a.m. 2 boys bought energy drinks and duct tape. The clerk noticed the captain's patch. He watches the games. All eyes slide back to the bench. The silver-haired king sits very still, and near the back, the tall man rises. He walks down the aisle with the calm of someone who knows every set of eyes like an inventory. Up close, the scar on his chin is a single, unambiguous sentence. Experience taught me the hard way. He stops beside Malik, puts a hand on the young man's shoulder, and turns to face the judge with a stare that contains decades. "Your Honor," he says quietly, "perhaps it's time to stop assuming which fathers show up." Whitaker blinks, as if slapped. Who are you to—" The man removes a leather badge wallet. The room leans as one. The insignia glints. "Special Agent Jerrod Cole, Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, on assignment with the state's Public Integrity Task Force. Father to Malik Turner. He lets the last sentence land like a freight train. The silence that follows isn't empty. It is full of all the unspoken things that have stalked halls like this for generations. Of all the times Malik's name could have been replaced by any other young black man's name. Of all the tired scripts that say no father listed and bad neighborhood and there's a type. Something unfamiliar flickers across Whitaker's face. Fear? Shame? He covers it with rage. "This is outrageous! You cannot! You're grandstanding!" Jerrod's voice stays low. "No, Your Honor. I'm protecting my son, and I'm also protecting the integrity of this court. We began monitoring a theft ring months ago after a tip that city employees were reselling parts to a salvage yard out of state. The pattern didn't fit the usual suspects you like to conjure, sir. It fit privilege, it fit immunity." He turns slightly to the gallery. "We traced social media posts and late-night movements. We mapped which cars were targeted. Mostly in neighborhoods without security systems, yes, but also behind the auto shop owned by your political donor." He meets the judge's eyes again. "And then last week we got a break." He nods at Detective Sloan, who taps the tablet again. The footage on the screen sharpens to a face at a gas station counter. A boy with an easy smile, square jaw, and that exact Letterman jacket. The clerk camera captures him from the side. But it's enough. The resemblance to the man on the bench is unmistakable. The gallery crowds forward with their eyes even as their bodies remain in place. Jerrod lifts his chin. "We didn't announce anything because we were building the case. I didn't tell my son because I wanted him treated like everyone else. No better, no worse. But when Malik called me from the precinct, when he told me which judge was laughing at him like a joke stuck under a shoe, I realized the irony was about to rot the entire process." His mouth curls, not a smile exactly, a warning. "So I came." The judge starts to say recuse, but the word won't climb out of his throat. Malik finally breathes. The air tastes different now, like wet concrete after rain, like something washed clean. Whitaker finds his voice. "Even if this footage is what you say, this is a preliminary hearing, where impartiality is non-negotiable," Jerrod replies, "and where your own statements on the record already suggest prejudice. Predictable, you said. Family trait. You mocked a working teenager doing charity after midnight, which may sound implausible to someone who has never needed a coat, but it is the truth where we live." Every syllable drops like a pebble into a pool, sending out wider ripples. Detective Sloan clears her throat. "Your Honor, the state will be moving to amend the charges in this matter and to open an investigation regarding the footage. Given new evidence, the state also moves for an immediate release of Mr. Turner on his own recognizance." The prosecutor nods, voice small. "Agreed." The judge stares down at his hands. On anyone else, it would be a pose of humility. Here it's a man beginning to understand the floor has trapdoors. He pounds the gavel once, sharp as a gunshot. "Motion granted," he says mechanically. "Mr. Turner is released." A rustle of relieved whispers skims the benches, but Jerrod doesn't exhale. Not yet. Additionally, Jerrod says calmly. Given your clear conflict of interest, we're filing for your immediate recusal from any case touching this investigation. His eyes harden. And for the record, Judge Whitaker, this is not personal, it's institutional. If it were personal, I'd say what I've kept inside for 18 years, and that wouldn't be good for anyone. The judge goes pale at the edges. His voice falters. What are you implying? Malik turns, confused. The room swivels with him. Jerrod doesn't answer. He tilts his head toward the clerk. Please note the recusal request and the complaint to the Judicial Review Council. Also note that the defendant's father is present and prepared to provide work schedules, school transcripts, and character references. He looks at Malik and smiles for the first time. Small, proud, a light switched on in a dark place. We've got you. In the hallway, the courthouse hum sounds different than it did an hour ago. It hums like something awake. Malik leans against the cool wall, legs weak with relief and whiplash. Jerrod stands close, not touching him because the boy is vibrating with too much adrenaline, but near enough to anchor him. You really... Malik swallows. You really kept it quiet. My whole life. That you were who you are. Jerrod's jaw works. Your mom wanted normal. I wanted normal for you too. No special treatment. No target painted on your back because of my job. I showed up to the big things from the edges. Parent-teacher nights behind the crowd, rec center fundraisers where I bought 5 pies and left out the back. I was not always in the room, but I was always in your life. He lifts his eyes. Today I had to be in the room. Malik nods, throat tight. He remembers the men in his neighborhood who told him, be a ghost when you need to, be a wall when you have to. He didn't know a father could be both. Detective Sloan steps out, phone pressed to her ear. She covers the receiver and whispers, we're executing a warrant on the pickup now. The salvage yard is cooperating. Jerrod, Agent Cole, will keep you updated. Thank you, Jerrod says. Sloan hesitates, then adds, you know, even if Luke wasn't your target, you knew some boy like him was? The son of someone who believed the rules were suggestions? That's the story you were following? Jerrod's eyes flicked to the courtroom doors. I knew somebody was teaching a boy that he'd never have to learn the consequences. That's a lesson that always comes due. He glances at Malik. On both sides. 2 weeks pass. The town buzzes like a hornet nest kicked across the street. The salvage yard confesses they paid cash, no questions, for dozens of parts. The white pickup turns up with fingerprints that match Luke's and a friend's. There are pictures, stupid, cruel pictures, of converters stacked like trophies in a basement. The friend folds. The story spools out into daylight. A summer scheme gone too good to stop. A pipeline of quick money, whispers of boys will be boys, and they'll grow out of it, softening each edge. Judge Whitaker recuses himself. He is suspended temporarily pending an investigation into improper comments in court and potential interference. The newspaper prints his photo beside Malik's in a ruthless split frame. Power and possibility. The editorials are complicated. Some people apologize to the Turners in grocery aisles and church pews, stumbling over their own surprise at what they once thought obvious. Others get louder, nastier, because that is what some people do when the mirror holds still. On a Monday morning, drowsy with summer heat, Malik steps into a different courtroom. New judge, new air. The state dismisses all charges with prejudice. The clerk's voice is not sing-song now. It's clear and careful, as if pronouncing Malik's name is a small, serious ceremony. Outside, cameras gather, hungry, microphones glint. Jerrod wants to shield his son from every lens, but Malik shakes his head. It's okay, he says. I want to say something. He walks to the row of mics. The crowd hushes with that ancient animal thrill of a story twisting in the hand. My name is Malik Turner, he begins. I'm 18. I work nights at a laundry and mornings at school. 2 weeks ago, I was a headline you've seen 100 times. Like a template, black teen, hoodie, backpack, crime. A judge laughed at my story because it didn't fit his imagination. He was wrong, but I'm not here to drag him. I'm here to talk about the power of the stories we tell. He inhales. The air smells like hot asphalt and wisteria. I grew up hearing that I needed to be perfect to survive. Don't run, don't raise your voice, don't give them a reason. But what I learned is, even when you are perfect, somebody can invent a reason, and the reason will look like you. He pauses. I want a world where that changes, not because a kid's father flashes a badge, but because truth matters before we know who someone's father is. A murmur of agreement ripples. Jerrod watches his son with a pride that sits heavy and radiant in his chest. Malik finishes softly. I also want to say something else. To the boys who did this, who thought the world would pad your fall, I hope you learn. I hope consequences teach you what your comfort never did. I hope you become better than what you were, because justice isn't just a hammer. Sometimes it's a hard lesson that finally sticks. He steps back. The microphones thirst for more, but he's already said it all. The investigation into Whitaker widens. People recall remarks, little acid drips, about certain neighborhoods and predictable outcomes. None of it is new. The only new ingredient is daylight. He is asked to resign. He refuses. Then the tape surfaces. A leaked recording from a chambers conversation, smug, explicit, unguarded. The mask dissolves. He resigns to avoid further distraction. There's no party for his departure. There's just air moving out of a closed room for the first time in years. Luke Whitaker pleads guilty. Restitution, community service, probation, mandatory ethics course. The sentencing includes a requirement to speak at schools about accountability. Reporters argue the sentence is light. Others argue it is targeted. What Malik sees is this: a boy stripped of the illusion that he could rewrite reality just by wanting it softer. That matters. It isn't everything, but it matters. One evening, as cicadas sing their metallic lullaby, Jerrod and Malik sit on the stoop. The neighborhood kids ride scooters. Somebody grills 2 blocks over, the smell turning the air sweet and smoky. You never told me why you never told me, Malik says, leaning back against the warm stare. Jerrod smiles. Because I didn't want your life to be a shadow of my job. I wanted your life to be your life. But I also knew one day my name might be the shield you needed. He taps the scar on his chin. I got this the day I learned the difference between being right and being safe. I was 19. I mouthed off to a man who thought a badge made him God. He taught me a lesson. Years later, I made it my job to teach a different one. Malik watches a firefly stitch light along a hedgerow. You think Judge Whitaker learned? Jerrod considers. He learned that power isn't a moat. It's a mirror. This time, it reflected him back at himself. Maybe that will be enough. Maybe not. What matters is the rooms he once owned are brighter now. And you walked out of one with your name intact. They are quiet for a while. Somewhere, a radio plays an old soul track, syrup thick and tender. Footsteps in the house signal Malik's mom moving in the kitchen, humming as she does with every dish. Dad? Malik says, tasting the word. He's always had it in him. Now he lets it out. I kept thinking about what you said in there. That if it were personal, you'd say what you kept inside for 18 years. What did you mean? Jerrod's eyes go distant, then soften. He takes a breath that feels like a door opening and closing. I meant this. There was a time, before you were born, when Judge Whitaker and I stood in the same academy lecture hall. He told a joke about statistical inevitabilities that landed like a brick on my chest. I called him out. He never forgot. I kept it professional for a long time. But seeing him laugh at you, Jerrod shakes his head. I almost threw away the playbook. I didn't. Because you deserved better than a score settled. You deserved a system working as it should. Malik nods slowly. His chest feels wide. I think the lie we're taught, the lie we swallow, is that justice is only real when it hurts somebody we hate. He looks at the darkening sky. But maybe the lesson is, justice feels like balance, like a weight placed in the right place. Not perfect, not permanent, but right. Jerrod smiles, proud. There's your powerful life lesson. And there's your powerful lie lesson too, about the lies we tell ourselves. That some kids are born guilty, and some kids are born forgiven. That lie built rooms like the one we walked into. Truth breaks the windows. They sit until the stars unbutton the sky. Months later, a plaque appears in the lobby of the courthouse. It isn't marble. It isn't expensive. It's simple wood with a simple engraving. Justice begins with listening. Names are stories, not statistics. Treat each one like something you'll say aloud before you sleep. People walk past it every day. Some read it. Some don't. But it sits there, a quiet weight in the right place. Malik graduates with a cord he didn't expect. Community leadership, for organizing a series of talks at the rec center where lawyers, social workers, officers, and teenagers sit in the same circle and talk like neighbors. Jerrod watches from the back and then stops hiding, takes a seat up front, lets his son anchor him for once. On the last night of summer, they gather in the church basement for a potluck. Ms. Johnson brings macaroni heavy with cheese. Pastor Gaines brings jokes. Mr. Lee from Riverside Laundry brings a cake shaped like a washing machine, ridiculous and perfect. The room smells like cinnamon and joy. Somebody puts Malik's name on a banner that looks hand-painted because it is. The pastor calls Jerrod up. Say a word, he urges. Jerrod clears his throat. I am grateful, he begins, voice unsteady, for a community that didn't let one day define a young man. I'm grateful to a God who hears the prayers we speak and the ones we swallow. I'm grateful for truth revealing itself on the exact day it needed to, and not a minute earlier. He looks at Malik, and I'm grateful for a son who taught me something. That the bravest thing isn't to swing when you can. It's to stand still while the world looks at you and not let it tell you who you are. Applause hums like bees. Malik grins, embarrassed and glowing. Afterward, one of the rec center kids, a skinny boy who always walks like he's bracing for a hit, tugs Malik's sleeve. Yo, he says, eyes bright. When the judge laughed that day, I thought you were done. I almost turned the video off. He swallows. But I kept watching. And when you said truth matters before we know who someone's father is, I wrote that down. He points at his chest pocket. I keep it here. Malik bumps his fist, gentle. Keep it. Add to it. Make it yours. The boy nods, as if Malik handed him a compass. The night winds down in warmth and clatter. People stack chairs and argue lovingly about who's taking leftovers. Outside, the sky hangs low and generous. Malik and Jerrod step into it, shoulder to shoulder. Ready? Jerrod asks. For what? For whatever room we walk into next. Malik smiles. Yeah, he says. I am. And somewhere, in a house that once felt like a castle, a man sits alone with the sound of his own laugh replaying in his head, realizing it was never as powerful as he thought. A boy across town opens a textbook and underlines accountability 3 times. A clerk at a gas station tells the story differently now when anyone asks what justice looks like. And a simple wooden plaque in a courthouse lobby keeps doing its quiet work. Because in this story, this time, the underdog didn't just win. He transformed the room. He made the mirror tell the truth. He turned a laugh into a lesson and a lesson into light. Life and lie lesson. Don't let the stories others wrote about you become your destiny. Power that mocks you is often the weakest kind, fragile, performative, composure made of glass. Real power is the patient insistence on truth, the refusal to surrender dignity, and the courage to keep standing until the room recalibrates around what is right. Justice isn't always loud or perfect, but when it shows up, you'll feel it. A weight placed, finally, in the right place. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe for more stories that matter. See you in next video.